Hey guys, today we're going to do the unboxing and give you guys my impressions of the FiiO K7. This is a desktop DAC and headphone amplifier made by Chinese company FiiO, who are well known for making nice audio products for the price. Like they make expensive stuff as well, but they're probably well known for their sub $500 products, their DAPs, their DACs, and amplifiers. So yeah, the reason why I got this is because I have a Beyerdynamic T1 headphone, which I really like, but it's a 600 ohm headphone, so it's pretty hard to drive. I do have a XDO TA26 tube headphone amplifier I usually use with it. Problem with that is because the Beyerdynamic is already kind of like a warm headphone. So the Beyer T1s are kind of like have like a warm sound signature already. Tube headphone amp just adds even more warmth, so it doesn't really, I would say it doesn't match well with the Beyer T1s. So I wanted something that's a little bit more on the neutral side, and also the fact that it's only a headphone amp. So the XDuo, which I did a video of before, so it's just a headphone amplifier, not a DAC. So I wanted something that could be both a DAC and a headphone amplifier, and the one on my Rotel A12s, the headphone amp in that just isn't very good. So yeah, I want to have a good DAC and headphone amplifier. Of course, looked at the various brands around this price range. I was looking for something maybe $200 or a sub $200. And yeah, there's FiiO, there's Shanling, there's Hibi, Hidits, all these Chinese companies. There's Topping, XDuo, of course, also makes some products as well, but they're a little bit more expensive when they use tubes. iFi is another one. So yeah, I looked at all the different products, but I think the FiiO K7 is the one that was the most suitable for me. I was looking for something relatively compact and small, not too heavy, and has a lot of different inputs, and especially a balanced. I was looking for a balanced output because my Beyer T1s use a balanced cable, and it really does sound better with a balanced connection. So I really wanted something with a nice DAC and with a balanced out, in addition to some other features, and relatively compact. And the FiiO K7 is basically my choice here. I was also looking at the iFi Zen DAC V2, but that one doesn't have as many features as the FiiO for the same price. So FiiO looks like they give you a lot for the price. And yeah, it's a Chinese company. It's a Guangzhou FiiO Electronics company, of course, made in China. So this DAC that it uses is two AK4493 SEQ DACs. So this is actually my first experience with AKM DACs. I mean, I've had experience usually with ESS DACs. Sometimes, like my previous DAP, I think one of them was the Aston Current SR15, which actually used a Cirrus Logic DAC. My current Rotel amplifier uses a Wolfson DAC, and I've also actually even used an Analog Devices DAC when I tested out the Parasound Z DAC as well. So this is actually my first experience with an AKM DAC though, and they say that AKM sound signature is a bit on the warm side, but like I said, my Beyer T1s does not pair well with warm sound signatures usually, but it still shouldn't be as warm as a tube amplifier. Anyways, we'll try it out. There's also an ESS version with the K9 Pro, but that's a lot more expensive. So this cost me $180 online. So I got a little bit of a discount because the MSRP is like $200. But still, I think for 180 bucks or 200 bucks, this is a pretty nice pickup. Also use this THX 788 Plus amplifier, and I've had experience with THX amps before, most notably with the Drop THX 789, and I was really impressed with that amplifier because it was so that had a very analytical type of neutral sound to it. So it doesn't color the sound at all. So that's what I liked about that, the Drop THX 789. So this one has a THX 788 Plus. So we'll see. I think that my experience with THX amplifiers have been very good though. Usually very low distortion, very black background, and yeah, it has a lot of power. So I think this should be able to drive my Beyers with no effort, or not much effort, I should say. So that's what you get. See, this is THX branding, of course, here, which in my experience, THX makes some pretty nice headphone amp designs. Let's take a look here. So the smaller box here, we just get, this is just the AC charger or AC adapter here, and we get a USB-A to USB-B cable, right? That's to connect to your computer, of course. Some stuff that you shouldn't eat, and then this is a 1/4 inch jack adapter. So yeah, and then you get this small little warranty card here. So yeah, basically the first box is just the warranty card, 1/4 inch jack adapter from 3.5 millimeter, also known as a 6.35 millimeter adapter, and it's USB cables and the AC adapter. And here is the amp right here. First we get a quick start guide. This part is in Chinese, so we'll skip this part to get the English. Okay, so here is the amp. You can tell where everything is, and then how to use it, of course. Yeah, pretty simple. And then this is all other languages. Alright, let's look at the amp itself. Alright. This is, okay, so this is not a small amp. It's not like a USB-C dongle. It's not like a dongle type of amp, right? This is definitely a desktop-sized amp, but it's not as big as your typical desktop-sized DAC or headphone amplifier. So it's still relatively compact, right? You compare this to, I think the full-size headphone amplifier I've used before, like the THX 789 or the Parasound Z-DAC. Those were like quite large. Those would actually be almost as large in width as my integrated amplifier, my Rotel A12. This, on the other hand, you can fit, actually, I can fit underneath my monitor, which is what I was looking for. I was looking for an amp that was in a DAC that was compact enough to fit underneath my monitor. So this does that, relatively compact, right, for a desktop class headphone amp and DAC. So here you got the high-res THX technology here for the branding. And yeah, front here you get one big volume dial, of course, very easy, and it actually turns it on too. So you hear that click, that's turning it on, and then raising the volume. Of course, I'm thinking this has a lot of power on tap. I'm going to test it. Actually, it will be nice to compare it to my XDO TA26 headphone amp to compare how much power it has to that, as well as to my Creative Sound Blaster X3, which is my other solid-state headphone amplifier and DAC. So it'd be nice to compare it to those as well. So here is the 6.35 millimeter jack right here. To plug into your full-sized, like full jack headphones, I guess. If you have a 3.5 millimeter, of course you can adapt it. But I think when people listen to headphones on their desktop, they usually have the big jack. So that's why they don't have a 3.5 millimeter, I guess, is because people are used to using big jacks when you upgrade to the desktop class, I guess. It's not like a DAP or a USB-C dongle or anything. And then you have a balanced. This is really what I was looking for, actually, because this is the 6.35 or 1/4 inch jack is still single-ended, so it's still unbalanced. I was looking for 4.4 millimeter balanced, and they have that here. So yeah, I can connect my bare T1s with my balanced cable, which is really nice. That's what I was looking for. I get more output power out of the balance, but actually it opens up my headphones as well. As a 600 ohm headphone, does need a lot of power. So the balanced usually outputs more power, allows it to have even less background noise, and opens it up even more, the soundstage and everything. So yeah, it's really nice to have the balanced. Input here, I guess you press this to select between the 4 different inputs, the either USB, which is what I'll be using, what most people will be using to connect to their computer, I'm guessing, with this thing. Optical, which you actually use to connect to your TV, I'm guess. So that's cool that you can use it to connect to your TV. Coaxial and line. So those are the 4 different inputs there. You can switch from low gain to high gain here, which is interesting. So I'm guessing I'll be using high gain because you can't get more high gain than 600 ohms is pretty high impedance, right? I don't know many headphones that are higher than that. And then if you have any planar magnetics that are very low sensitivity, then of course you can use the high gain as well, and then low gain for your IEMs and for your more typical like headphones that you can use on the go. Okay, so it's interesting, you have 3 different outputs here, the LO, pre, and PO. So PO I know is this one, that's a single-ended, and the balanced maybe, and then pre, is this to use as a preamp? Not sure what the low is for, so I'd have to test that out. Then at the back, here are your connections here. You have one analog RCA line in right here. And then you have one analog RCA line out, which is also a preamp out. So you can use this to connect to your power amp or integrated amplifier. You have a coaxial in. Is this a digital coaxial in? You can use an optical in. You can use, yeah, if you have a TV, or any kind of digital connection that has an optical out, you can definitely put your optical in here, which is cool. So yeah, like I mentioned, it has a 2 AKM AK4493 SEQ DACs. So it'd be nice to compare this one with I think the best comparison would be the Sound Blaster X3 that I have. This is my current desktop DAC amp combo device, I guess. And this one was also originally retailing for 200 bucks as well. Now it's cheaper because they have like newer versions out and stuff. But this one does have an okay DAC and headphone amp, I guess, but it's not quite as good as the one on the FiiO. So it'd be nice to compare the two. So yeah, this one supposedly can drive 600 ohm headphones as well, and I did use it with my Bear T1s. Also has a Super X-Fi setting, which is a creative technology that kind of gives it like virtual surround, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is the one I'm using right now, but I just don't find like it has quite enough power. I mean, yeah, I could drive my Bears pretty well, but yeah, in terms of the actual DAC inside of it, I don't think it's as good as the one inside the FiiOs. So we'll do a nice comparison between the two. So yeah, both $200 combination desktop DAC headphone amplifiers. The FiiO, of course, you can see is chunkier than the Creative, and the Creative has this big rotary dial here, and you can also press down on it to mute it. So this is a mute button when you press down. And you can also rotate it easily. Here, FiiO, you have you basically turn it on by rotating the volume dial here. So it also has a pretty big rotary dial. You can press this switch on the X3 for audio balance, this switch for direct mode, which I guess I don't know like exactly what it does, but it bypasses some circuitry, I guess, to make the sound more pure or whatever. A lot of amps actually have this kind of direct thing. My Marantz and my Leak Audio also have it as well. So anyways, there's this direct mode. And then there's a Super X-Fi technology, which Creative is known for. It's basically this virtual surround technology that they use on a lot of their devices now. It makes the soundstage a lot wider. And honestly, it's one of the better ones out there. I've tested it against the Dolby Atmos, the DTS X, like Sound Unbound thing, like DTS X headphone, I guess, X or something like that, and the THX spatial audio, as well as Sony's kind of 360-degree spatial audio as well, and Apple spatial audio. So I've tested against all of those. Super X-Fi is probably one of the best ones. It honestly does. When I used it, it honestly made it feel like I was sitting in front of some speakers instead of wearing a headphone on my head. So that shows you how realistic it actually does get the sound around you. So it's a really cool feature. So I do like this feature, but unfortunately I don't like the DAC inside of this as much. It's not that great of a DAC. The amplifier here is also just okay. It can drive my Bear T1s, it can drive 600 ohm headphones, but not not at the same level the FiiO can, I think. And of course at the back you do have a lot of outputs as well, because Creative also gives you a lot of features for the price, just like FiiO. So this one, Creative actually gives you a set of outputs for an actual surround setup. So you have front, side, rear, and C sub, center sub, which is basically line outs to all your different channels. If you want to actually connect a 5.1 kind of system into here, you can do that. That's pretty cool, right? There's also a line in, an aux input right here, 3.5 in, and optical out, and a USB to connect to the computer. And then yeah, it's fairly light and everything. There's also a microphone input on the front and a headphone jack in front as well, because of course it's also a headphone amp. So yeah, this is it's pretty cool. It's a combination headphone DAC amp with built-in Super X-Fi. The Super X-Fi, I think, is the main feature of this one. So yeah, I've been using this for several years to drive my headphones as a desktop DAC amp, but now I'm looking to upgrade to this FiiO, and maybe we can do some comparisons between the two and show you guys just how much of an upgrade the dual AKM DACs inside of here compared to the it doesn't say what kind of DAC that this one uses. It just, yeah, Creative just says is it uses like a pretty decent DAC, right, that can do like 192, 48-bit, whatever. But I don't actually know, because they don't actually tell you what DAC they use inside of here by name. I do know that the FiiO uses 2 AKM DACs, so it'd be cool to compare these two against each other. And of course, Creative uses their own headphone amp inside of here, their own like headphone amp solution. I'm not exactly sure what kind of technology they use, but that's their own built-in headphone amp. FiiO uses the THX technology, right? THX 788 Plus amp. So yeah, both these devices should be interesting to compare. This one was the same price when it came out a few years ago. It was 200 bucks. This one is 200 bucks now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to compare the two. And I'm pretty sure like the FiiO has more power, but you guys can see the differences. I'm going to drive my Bear T1s with the FiiO K7, and then yeah, compare it to the Sound Blaster X3. They can both drive my Bear T1s, but you guys can hear the actual sound differences between the two, and see if the FiiO is a worthwhile upgrade or not. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright, so now I have the FiiO K7 hooked up to my desktop. Actually, cool thing is that it has a little bit RGB lighting around the ring here, so that's pretty cool. Looks better than just like a boring black box that sits on your desk, right? And I have it set to PO for the output and high for the gain, because these are Bear Dynamic T1s. They're 600 ohm headphones. They do require a lot of gain, so of course it's set to high gain. Alright, so let's test out the sound quality now. Alright, so now I have the Sound Blaster X3 also hooked up to my desktop, and you can see that it has some lighting around the dial as well, which is nice. And yeah, I can test it out with the Super X5 mode on and off, so you guys can hear the difference and also compare it to the FiiO K7. So yeah, test it out with the same track. Let's go.